Go. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lionbolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and feature titan for episode 290, all the way from Siesta Key, Florida, none other than Chantel Ray. Chantel, thanks so much. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure for having you on the show.
Oh, I'm super pumped. I love spending time with you. You are amazing, and any chance I get to spend with you is a win for me.
Oh my gosh, feelings mutual all day
Mhm.
long. And I know that the audience is super excited about this one too, Chantel. Really just to dive into you as a person, a professional, and everything that you've done in life and in business. Super excited just to kind of dive in. So let's go right for it. Anybody out there who is living under a rock, who maybe doesn't know who Chantel Ray is or what you've done, let's just go through your journey, kind of your origin story, if you will. So who you are, where you come from, what got you into the business, and kind of what's led you up till today. Loaded question, but we want to start that way.
Gosh, it's funny because I feel like I'm about to cry right now, and I only cry like twice a year, and I'm feeling just all these emotions today because, um, it's funny because someone asked me. They were like, oh my gosh, you're just so successful at this. And, you were number one here and you're number one there. And I remember, the day when I became, because I was the rookie of the year. No one sold more houses than me. Then
Wow.
I was like number one agent. Then I was number one team, small team. Then I was number one mega team. And I was number one mega team. And I remember saying to someone, I just shared this story today, actually in Bible study. And that's why I'm starting to tear up because of just thinking about it. And I was thinking, they said to me that they were like, "Oh my gosh, how does it feel to be the number one mega team in this area?"
Wow.
And I remember saying, "You know what? I'm not even that happy. Like I thought it was going to be different." And I think that we mistakenly think some kind of outward success is going to change something in us, and it doesn't. And so, I think that every one of us is kind of born with like a God-shaped hole in our heart. And so we think, oh, if I'm number one at this, or if I hit this goal, or worked years to achieve this, that it's going to solve everything. And you finally achieve what you've been trying to do for 10 years or whatever it is. And it was just a few years for me, and I achieved all my goals that I wanted to achieve. And I think that sometimes you think, oh my God, this is going to change everything. And then I realized, all the time that I spent and all I accomplished, all the dreams. And I realized that that didn't even make me that happy.
Wow.
And so I think that that's where as you get older, I've gotten older and I've realized like, what is it that really makes me happy? And what is it that brings joy? And what brings joy to me is spending time with my friends, spending time with my family, and being a blessing to other people. So now I've just kind of had this mindset set shift of like, okay, I don't have to be number one, number one, number one, number one. I really just want to be a blessing to others. That's where I find joy is giving back to other people. And so it's just kind of something that, is making me tear up a little bit just thinking about that. You're like, oh my gosh, we've only been on this podcast for a minute. Chantel never cries. And all of a sudden, I'm making her tear up just talking about this. Isn't that crazy?
Chantel, I love it. Absolutely, the passion and the energy that you bring is incredible, and it is infectious. And to anybody who's not watching this, but they're listening to it, these are real tears that Chantel is talking about here. And what's amazing about that perspective is you went right into that. And there's so many people that look to professionals such as yourself to say, "Oh my gosh, look at everything they've done and what they've accomplished and what they continue to do and the massive impacts that are there." And they don't quite understand the time and the effort and the steps that are taken. And to have that capability of just diving into for the audience to say, look, maybe number one isn't everything you might think it is, and to really kind of focus up on what the most important things in your life are and succeeding into life and business and everything. But before we go into your origin, let's just, because you went right into it, Chantel, which I love. So let's talk about your perspective of being number one and everything that you've gone through. Is it all that it's cracked up to be? Kind of what's your perspective into that? Because you've done so much in your career, it's not even funny.
Well, thank you. The thing for me is I had to realize what happened was I ended up just growing so big. So, we started, it's kind of the dream of everyone, right? You start as an individual agent, then you get a team, then you become number one team, then you own your own brokerage, and then you end up turning into your own small brokerage. That's like everyone's dream, right? I want
Mhm.
to be my own brokerage. And we ended up growing into 20 states. And the
Wow.
toll that it took on my health was crazy because we wanted to always remain profitable.
Sure.
And in order to, we just kept competing. We loved what EXP was doing.
Mhm.
And we tried to copy everything they did. I mean, at one point, I had 6 web developers on staff. We
Wow.
had just, we were in 20 states. We had leaders in every state. We had brokers in every state. We had multiple brokers in every state. And just how big that
Mhm.
got my health to the point that I got psoriatic arthritis. I had an autoimmune condition.
Mhm.
And there were days I couldn't even get out of bed. Like my joints hurt so bad because I was so stressed. And my goal was to take the company public. I was like, we're taking this company public. We're taking it public. And we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in, legal fees to get everything, to get it public. And everything that we did was just so massive.
Wow.
And then I finally kind of had this aha moment where, you know, like Warren Buffett,
Mhm.
he owns Coca-Cola, but he's not the CEO. And
Sure.
he makes a lot more money than the CEO does, Then the CEO has nothing to do with just problems and problems and more problems. And really what a CEO's job is, right? They hire the best people.
Mhm.
Then the problems that CEO can't solve, they then have to solve those problems. And so it's just the amount of, if you think about like an emergency room doctor,
Sure.
that's kind of like a CEO. They need to be able to have, they're expecting problems. And
Mhm.
that's what a CEO does. They just have tons of things that hit them over and over and over again. And so I just kind of had this aha moment when I realized, EXP started copying a bunch of stuff we did. So we opened up all 3 levels, where in our company, the first 3 levels opened up right away. Guess what
Wow.
leadership did at EXP? They copied us and they said, okay, we're going to have the first 3 levels open up. Leadership told me, yeah, we copied that from you.
Oh.
And they just started copying all the things that made us unique and awesome. They started copying.
Wow.
And then, so I just decided to merge in with EXP because they literally got to the place where you can't compete with them.
Mm.
They started making all of these incentives. Now level 4 and 5 open up if you're a capper. They have it where level 6 and 7 open up if you're an icon. And every time I turn around, they were like, oh, now we're doing this, and now we're offering this, and now we're offering leads. And I was like, I can't compete with them anymore. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be the Warren Buffett
Mm.
of real estate instead of being the CEO of Coca-Cola. It's like a complete mindset shift where you go, all I want to do now is I
Mhm.
want to create passive income so that I can spend more time with my friends, my family, enjoy life. I've grinded my whole life.
Mhm.
Now I want to teach people how to. I wrote this book called Delegate Everything But Sex. So I want to teach people how they can delegate things off their plate,
Mhm.
and then I want to teach people how to earn passive income. That's really, really important to me. I actually now have gotten it up to about 8 different ways that I earn passive income.
Wow.
And I want to teach that to other people.
Chantel, this is incredible the way that you're diving into this. And again, showcasing your knowledge and your expertise and the decisions that you made and who you're aligning with. I think that imitation is one of the largest forms of flattery. So good for you, EXP, looking at to Chantel and what you're doing and what you continue to do. And look at that from the alignment standpoint. I love the fact that you had mentioned delegation and really looking at the highest and best use of time. You literally wrote a book. So and multiple books. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but 6 or 7 books so far.
I'm at 5 books now.
Okay,
Yeah.
five.
Written,
Okay, which is
yeah. Because I was so busy, I started kind of turning to food for kind of comfort. So like anytime I'd get stressed, I would like run to the pantry and have a snack or have a brownie or something like
yep.
that. So I then had to realize, okay, what do I need to do with my health to be
Mm.
able to lose weight? So I started doing intermittent fasting.
Wow.
And I actually, what I did was I interviewed 1,000 women and I said, what do you do breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Hmm.
And they basically told me all their secrets and I wrote it in several books. So I wrote a book called Waste Away,
Mm.
Chantel Ray Way. And then I wrote a book called One Meal and a Tasting. But I
Mm.
basically have learned some different, I try to hang out
Hmm.
with people in every area of life. Like if you're a queen in the fitness and the health realm, I want to hang out with you and learn what you do.
Wow.
If you are a beast when it comes to your spirituality and your rocking, like every
Yeah.
area, if you think about all those areas, you want to hang out with those people in those areas. You know, they say that you're like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And
Well said.
even in your even in income wise, right? It was so funny. We were talking to our neighbor and I said, our new goal is we want to make $1 million a month in profit.
Hmm.
And my neighbor literally looked at us and he was like, well, I'm already doing that. So he's like, that's not a goal for me. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly why we're hanging out with these people because for him, $1 million a month in profits, like we already do that. That's not a goal for me.
Hmm.
And so it's just hanging out with people who are on a different level
Wow.
and coaching with them and getting mentorship. So that's kind of my new thing is like helping people to take wherever they're at and take them to the next level.
And I love that share. And again, having neighbors like that, Chantel, fantastic. I mean, everybody is looking for that to say neighbor goals if you don't have them, but you are guilty by association. I think whatever we consume, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, is a reflection of how and who we become. So I think aligning yourself with the true practitioners of the different categories or segments of your life is brilliant advice for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're starting out into your career or you're a top tier pro like Chantel. I think the constant hunger for knowledge and surrounding yourself with greater, smarter, faster people, but then also being a contributor that way as well and helping others along the way. You did mention delegation. You have a book right there, which is Delegate Everything But Sex. So I want to talk about that. What are your thoughts on delegation? What's the whole process behind it? When somebody says that to you, what comes to mind, Chantel?
Yeah, so I think people need to realize that the most successful people in life delegate the things that are lower dollar activity items. So if it's a $10 an activity item or a $100 an activity item, whatever it is, like you keep moving up, right? Like as you start making more money, you start delegating more. But just thinking about the $10 an hour items that you do and just really delegating all of those so you have more time.
Mm,
And then what you're doing is you're just getting to the place where you're saying, I'd rather have my time so
mm,
that I can then spend it on higher dollar productive activities. And
mm,
I see people all the time, like what drives me crazy is people will go, okay, let me drive all the way across town to save $5. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would rather pay Instacart to deliver it to me or have my admin pay them, $20 an hour to go get whatever so that I can have my time. And
mm,
I see even CEOs. I was literally talking to
mm,
um, and he's probably will get mad for me saying this, but I'll say it anyway. I was talking to Leo Pereira on the phone, CEO, and
yeah.
he was like, I said something. He's like, I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm heading to Home Depot because my contractor needs something. And I'm like, what? That's a $10 an hour activity. You should be delegating that. I was like, I'm sending you my book immediately.
Love it. That's
So
so.
he started laughing. But we all have areas where we're like, you need to start looking at your time and going, what are these areas that I can delegate so that I can either do higher dollar productive activities
Mhm.
or use that time to spend it with my family and my friends and things that I love doing.
I really appreciate where you're coming from with that, Chantel, because too few people understand the importance of delegation and what that really looks like in a life. And we've all gone through different phases and stages of that. And I would love to get your reflection. When did you kind of first notice it in your life? And what made you comfortable kind of making a shift to say, well, instead of me doing that task, I want to pay or bring on or do someone else? Like what first came into your mind? Because we don't start at the top, right? So I think through progression, as the audience is kind of going through, what stands out to you? Where was the first time where you said, hey, that was the time to delegate?
Yeah, it's been happening since I was really little. I delegated even to my sister, but I will tell you a story. One time I went I was at a conference
Mhm.
and I actually heard the speaker say something along the lines of if you delegate this, stand up. And then he was like, if you delegate your lawn care, stand up. If you delegate your pool, stand up. If you delegate cooking, stand up. And he just kept delegate saying all the things.
Yeah.
And then what happened was he had people stand up,
Uh-huh.
and then because the other people who didn't delegate sat down,
Down,
and
yeah.
all the people who were delegating, all of them made like over $1 million in
Mm.
profit a year. So he's like, how much do you make? How much do you make? And then I did that at a conference as well, at a speaking conference that I did. So I copied that, did the exact same thing at a conference. And every person, if you get it in your mind, the people that delegate the most
Mhm.
make the most money per hour. And they don't waste their time on stupid stuff.
Mhm.
Like just literally thinking about every time that I have, is this taking me to the next level? Am I reading? Am I doing a podcast? Because if you delegate those things,
Mhm.
now you have time to listen to this podcast. Now you have time to read a book. Now you have time to spend it with people who are higher dollar earners
Mhm.
than you. All of those things. But if you're just in a hamster wheel,
Mhm.
you don't have the time, and you can't do those things that will take you to the next level.
Wow. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's so much truth to that. It's not even funny. And it's something that I would wildly encourage everybody to listen to that and take that wholeheartedly, because if you are intentional with your time and you're wanting to grow and scale, that's really the way to go about it. And if you're not doing those things, look inward to say, how are you spending your time? What are the highest, best uses of it? I think that that's crucially important as you're mentioning it, Chantel. And I do want to go into kind of another thought now. Before we started going live here and recording, we had a little chat in the green room. So I always say that, that's a good thing to kind of just chat it up and see what's going on here. But you had mentioned something that really stood out to me, and I just would love to get your take on it, perspective. You had mentioned essentially the nightmare of running a company. And I guess the things that people, especially top professionals, don't really talk about. So what does that mean to you, running a company and it being a nightmare into that standpoint? Or let's get some clarity on that.
Yeah. So one of the things I always say is that I'm sorry, revenue is for vanity,
Mm.
profit is for sanity. And
Oof.
so just looking at your business and going, okay, am I highly profitable? One of the girls that I was coaching, she was having all of this staff, and she's like, I'm paying all the money I'm making into salaries, and even those people, I'm just wasting money, wasting money. And I said, every person and every employee that you have needs to be making you at least a 50% return.
Wow.
So if you're paying them $30,000 or $40,000 a year, then you need to be making 80,000 from that person.
Mhm.
And even if it's your personal assistant, the amount of hours that they're taking off your plate
Mm.
should be resulting in those hours of you being able to make more money. So you
Wow.
need to be able to make a double return. And so what was happening is she was working, 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 and we dove in. And after coaching her, I realized, okay, what you're doing is you're making all this money and then you're turning around and spending all this money. And
Mhm.
when I was running my brokerage, I realized in order for me to compete with the big company like EXP,
Mhm.
we were profitable, but by this much. When we were running our team and we were giving out leads, we were extremely profitable. So
Wow.
you have to figure out, is what I'm doing profitable?
Mhm.
And if it's not, you've got to get rid of people. People don't want to get rid of employees that are not performing. It's one of the biggest things I see in companies is that they have someone, they're not taking stuff off their plate, they're not doubling their income, they're just doing minutia type work
Mhm.
that's not bringing revenue into the company. It has to bring in revenue, but not only revenue, it has to be profitable. If the company is not profitable, then what the heck? One of the things that Gary Keller did,
Mhm.
he invited me to speak at a conference. And one of the things I loved is he said, can you send a copy of your P&L? And I said, sure. So I sent him a copy of our P&L and we were profitable. And he's like, we only try to have speakers now that are profitable and highly profitable because why do we want to bring in people and have them teach and show people what to do if they're not being highly profitable? And so when you get to the place that you're not highly profitable, you need to revamp things. And I will tell you, studies show right now there's different ones. There's one that said less than 10% of the people are hireable. Another one said that less than 3% are hireable. And I'm telling you, it's harder and harder and harder to hire people
Mhm.
that are actually employable. The majority of people are not employable right now. And so trying to find that 3% of people that actually are wanting to work
Mhm.
is is nightmare.com.
Well, but why? So why do you think that that's the case too, right, Chantel? And obviously you're a practitioner. So what's your perspective on why it's so hard? Why is the pool so low? Would be the first question, and then the second one would be how do you hire with intent? I guess kind of two parts.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think makes it so hard is really COVID. And I think that when COVID happened, a lot of people got used to kind of working from home and it had this more idea of like when you're in grind mode
Hmm.
and you're grinding, you just can keep grinding. Think about like if you take a break from the gym, if
Hmm.
you go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week, it's you're in that habit of working hard. And I think what happened is COVID made everybody lazy and they didn't want to work anymore. And they're like, oh, we can
Hmm.
work from home and kind of do laundry and do that. I mean, they just got us lazy. And so when you get into that zone, you aren't in the habit of kind of that grind.
Hmm.
And I think the younger generation got into this mode of like, have fun and, let's not work hard. Let's just fun, fun, fun. And I think that kind of got it in there. And I think that the younger generation, I hate to say this,
Hmm.
has gotten soft. They've gotten soft.
Yeah, well, and I would side with that perspective too. When a lot of people they say, "Hey, it's tough to generalize," but just the conversations that you have with younger individuals, it's just the case. I mean, the thought process has shifted. I think that a lot of it is they're not understanding about putting the time and effort over long periods of time and longevity. I think they're wanting entitlement now. And I think that a lot of people want the lifestyle but don't want to work for it. So the shift into my perspective bounced off of that is, well, if they realize how difficult it is and they get there, but they don't want to put the work in, now they're shifting it to, well, I want to have a balanced life. I want to have fun. I'm not focused on this. Now I'm just a more of a holistic approach. And look, if that's the life you live, that's fine. No judgment, no pretense there. But if you're wanting to reach high highs and make massive impacts into the planet, you can't live that way. It's impossible. You talk to anybody who's done anything of relevance, it's just not the case. So I hear where you're coming from with that. COVID has been tough. I mean, just so everybody knows, if you're tuning into this after the fact, this is December 10th, 2024. We are well past COVID. So when you talk about those things, it has had a ripple effect, good, bad, or indifferent. I think that getting individuals back in the office and the daily activities, there's accountability behind it. But yeah, to your point, if you're at home in your pajamas and you're not necessarily concerned about, taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually the whole way through, uh, people can get sloppy, they can get lazy. So I feel it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chantel, but I feel that there is a soon to be wave of people getting more back into that. It still is a small percentage, but I feel that that small percentage that's going to put the time in, they're the ones that are going to have leaps and bounds in advancement of everybody else. So, I don't know what your thoughts are and perspective into that world, but again, it's just really fascinating to me to get your opinion on that for sure. You see it every day.
Yeah, they want the trophy, but they don't want the work.
Mhm.
And they look at someone like me who's worked my tail off.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of in a different place, but then they don't want to do the work that I did to get to the place that I'm at right now. And that's with everyone. They look at people's lives and they go, oh my goodness, but they don't see all the grind that happened on the upside.
Mhm.
And so you've got to be willing to do the work to get there. But I also think that there's a lot of things that people can do. Like there's things that I've learned now. Now I'm teaching people
Mhm.
if they go to chantelray.com/passive,
Love it.
there is so many ways now that you can actually, without needing massive capital and without a 24-hour hustle, that there's strategies and tools that I've learned that you
Mhm.
can generate income passively. And I wish I would have known this a long time ago. And we're helping people to where even with a little bit of money they have,
Mhm.
that we have a place where they can pull their money together to be able to buy things. I mean, right now, if you go on my Facebook, if you follow me, if you go to Chantel Ray Finch, like you'll see me in like a different Rolls Royce.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I actually make money on driving it. So I no joke. I'm serious. Like you'll see me in a different Rolls Royce all the time, but I
Love,
actually make money and I teach people how they can literally drive around in a Rolls
love
and
it.
make money at the same time.
Oh, that's well, obviously looking good as you're doing it, but making passive income into that. And Chantel, I want to dive into the education piece too, because I know you have helped and continue to help so many professionals all over the world, really just grow success and wealth. So when you look at it from that standpoint, what advice would you give anybody tuning in right now, if they're looking to grow and scale, make adjustments into their business, into their life? Obviously, you've shared incredible information so far, but if there's anything you haven't shared yet that stands out, maybe if you could go back in your career thus far, pick or choose one or two things that you added or implemented that really moved the needle for success for you, what does that look like? What advice would you give the audience tuning in here?
I would say one of the things I wish I would have done, I wish I would have joined EXP
Okay.
probably 7 years ago. Like
Wow.
when I started opening up Canzel, I think the biggest thing that I want to tell people to not do is to open up their own brokerage. And I know that sounds crazy, but what happened in the brokerage field,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
is that it was the race to the bottom, right? There's all these companies that came out that was like, oh, 495 fee, 595, all these it was a race to the bottom and everyone's like, and now we'll give you this and we'll give you this, and it was like a feature dump, right? So it was like feature dump, we'll give you this, and then they were like, oh, they're giving that, so now we'll give this plus this.
Mm,
And so trying to run a real estate brokerage in
mm,
today's rate is today's day is just impossible. You
wow.
can't do it and make a ton of money.
Mm,
So my advice is to learn, like I can teach you exactly the ways that you can make money in real estate,
mhm,
how you can grow a team in real estate without running the brokerage piece, but you can still have your own identity and your
mm.
own umbrella. So like for us, we have the Canzel umbrella,
Okay.
where people get a lot of additional things as part of being with EXP. So it's not just that, like we give people funnels. So I'm really big on we give our agents under our umbrella
Mm.
um, a buyer funnel, a seller funnel, and a EXP agent attraction funnel.
Love
So
it.
they get that for being underneath ours.
Hmm.
But I think people don't realize how important it is with marketing. I think
Mhm.
they've lost. I teach a free class at chantelray.com/double on marketing. Because,
Love
and one of the things I say is this. So I was driving around and there was a Budweiser billboard on the street. Literally, all
it.
it said was Budweiser. There was no call to action. There
Yep.
was nothing. It just said Budweiser. And what I like to say is that's what real estate agents are doing right now. They're literally just putting their name on the billboard. And I go, if you have as much money as Budweiser does, then go ahead, copy their model. None of us have as much money as Budweiser does. If they were smart, they would put, get your Super Bowl party ideas at budweiser.com/Super Bowl,
Sure.
or get whatever, but they don't have to do that
Mhm.
because they're Budweiser. But as agents, you have to change your marketing strategy.
Mhm.
And Greg, I know you know this, and you are the king of marketing as well. And they need to align with people like me and you who understand marketing, and they have to align with us and learn the techniques that work in marketing
Mhm.
because this is what I call it, MOE, Mo's. You know how when you walk in, they go, welcome to Mo's.
Yeah.
Marketing over everything. And
Mm.
if you don't get that piece right, you will struggle. And the truth is you don't have to be the best real estate agent. You have to be the best marketer
Mm.
in this field. And so trying to do all those pieces yourself is impossible. You have to align with somebody like come to me, I'll teach you all the strategies, then go to Greg. He will implement the strategies that you need to be able to get the marketing funnel right. Because with your sphere of influence, yeah, the sphere is great,
Mhm.
but they say now that each person, every single person now has 10 real estate agents
Mm.
that they know very, very well that they have a personal relationship with. That's insane. That
Mhm.
means, I mean, if you think about it, like there's no other profession. I don't know 10 plumbers. I
Right.
don't know, well, actually probably do, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying like the
Yes.
regular average person doesn't have a personal relationship
Mm-mm.
with 10 doctors
Yep.
and 10 lawyers and 10 this, right?
Yep.
They have a personal relationship with one or two. But the real estate market has gotten so saturated
Mhm.
that you have to go beyond your sphere and work on the marketing piece so that you can have a steady thing of leads coming in. And that's why for us, we created something called the Canzel Certified Agent
Wow.
where they can actually work at any company. Doesn't matter. They don't have to be at EXP. They can be at any company. We will give them leads, no upfront fee with just a referral fee. They
Um,
have to agree to be like really responsive. And there's some differences that they have to make sure like that they do.
hmm.
We call it the Canzel difference, but the main one is just being really, really responsive and not ever locking someone into a long-term contract because that's what people hate that so
Oh,
much.
yep.
And as long as they are just a really great customer service person, like that's the thing, then you have to align with someone like me. I'll give you the leads and you can just do the customer service side of things that you do really well.
Wow. But Chantel, as you're going down that line and so many pieces of knowledge and resources that you've given and continue to give to the real estate world and community, and you touched on so many wonderful things into there. And you know me, I'm a fan of marketing. So when you mentioned that analogy of Budweiser, it just rings so deep and true. I mean, when you come down to it, if you're looking at that perspective, none of us are Budweiser, right? Or Apple or Coca-Cola or any of these, types of brands that are there. So understand what is going to work for us in our micro markets with our brand and having calls to action, but having it an authentic and a very meaningful connection with the end user so that we stand out. You had mentioned 10 relationships, and that to me is spot on. To the consumer, to a real estate professional, the competition isn't necessarily the thousands upon thousands that are in your market, it's the 10 personal relationships. So how do you brand yourself and stand amongst the 10 that that person knows? And how are you doing it again and again and again? And there's physical and digital aspects to that, Chantel, but the fact that you put resources together, that you have trainings that people can dive into and really learn, be guided by you, is massive because there's so many people that are gurus, but they're not true practitioners. I love that you mentioned Gary and the fact that that was a prerequisite for profitability and going over P&L and L and saying, are you actually profitable in a big way? Because we don't want to just learn from people who are theorists, right? And,
Well,
and
let me say this. A lot of people right now are trying to save money. So what they're doing is they're stopping their advertising. Like they're like, I'm not going to do any advertising. I'm not going to do any marketing. And what I say is if you're stopping your advertising to save money, that's like saying, okay, let me just stop my watch right now so I
yeah,
can save time. That doesn't make sense. Like
beautiful
you
analogy.
can't, yeah, you can't like just stop your watch and save time. That doesn't work. If you want to save, you can't stop your advertising to save money because the whole person is that people do not buy things just like out of the blue, right? Like if you think about Facebook and Instagram, this is where people are going right now. So you have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to continue to do advertising. That's the only thing you should not be getting rid of because you need that pipeline coming in. And that's the biggest thing that you cannot get rid of. So to me, marketing is king. It's
Mhm.
most marketing over everything. That's the number one piece that you have to keep reminding yourself
Mhm.
of. This is really, really important that the aim of marketing is to know and understand your customer so well
Mhm.
and figuring out what is it that they're wanting. So what I did, when I was first getting into real estate, I was like, I interviewed people and I said, what do you hate about real estate agents? And they would all be like, I hate when they keep me stuck in a long-term contract. I was like, great, well, we have a guarantee where we're never sticking you into a long-term contract.
Love it.
And then we'd say, like, they're like, well, I hate when they just try to like shove me in a house where they go, oh, just buy this house. This one will do. And we go, we have a guarantee where in the first 90 days, if you don't love the house, we'll sell it for you for free.
Wow.
So again, we have these guarantees that we give people
Mhm.
where they feel comfortable. They go, oh, one of the CR certified agents, they are going to not lock me into a contract. They're going to take their time. They're going to be responsive. And so you figure out what is that little button that kind of makes someone tick. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
There was this carpet place
Mhm.
that did some kind of ad that said, if you don't love the carpet or the flooring one that you put in, we'll rip it up and put it for free. I was
Mhm.
like, wow,
There you go.
that is a really good guarantee. You've got to figure out what your guarantee is
Mhm.
and what does the people want. And when I heard that, I was like, that's the company I'd want to go to, because if they go, you're not happy and you're not satisfied, they'll rip it up and put a
Rip it
new
up.
one.
Yeah.
That's what you have to come up with. What is my guarantee that I'm willing to do? And with us, you can just copy what ours are and we'll give you the leads. If you like those guarantees, then you can just come with us and we'll give you leads that say, yeah, that's important to us.
Oh my gosh. Well, but Chantel, as you're mentioning these things, and hopefully it's resonating with everybody who's tuning in with us live or after the fact, but I think looking at it from that perspective, success leaves breadcrumbs. You've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt multiple times. And to look to somebody like you who has really understood the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life and business to really say, let me just follow this individual. I can get rid of a lot of the pain and the struggle and the hardship and just put my highest efforts into what's really going to make a difference. And it's not to say that it's going to be easy. It'll be a lot simpler, but it's not going to be easy, right? Hard work is still hard work. Time is still time. But learning from somebody like you is crucial. And that's something that I always advise others too. I mean, if you're aligning yourself with somebody, imagine, are you wanting to take their life? If you could imagine yourself taking their life or living the way that they live, then that's somebody that I can anticipate and understand you aligning with. But you're essentially garnering their information in detail. And if it's not somebody that you would step into their shoes, then why are you learning from them in the first place? If this is really where you want to go, to me, it boggles my mind. But Chantel, you're the shining light into this scenario. There are so few people out there that are so willing to give the knowledge and share and guide. But I do want to, for the audience purposes, if they like what they heard and they really want to learn more about how they align with you or what they can really tune into or subscribe to, like where's the best ways for people to connect with you, to learn more, to really dive deep into what you bring to the table?
Yeah, I would say go to chantelray.com/double.
Okay.
And what I want to say is that marketing is all about kind of like a first date, right? So marketing is like a first date. If all you do is talk about yourself, there's not going to be a second date, right? So you have to tell people what you're going to do for them. How are you helping them? Not just, oh, I'm so great. I'm so great. I'm so wonderful. No, I want to tell all agents, stop doing that. I'm number one. I'm this. I'm so great. I'm so wonderful. Blah, blah, blah. Remember, it's like a first date. If all you do is talk about yourself, you're not getting a second date. So I love to teach people about marketing. I love to help them with that. I love helping them with funnels. And yeah, I'm just really passionate about getting people on a whole new level with how to do marketing.
You know, Chantel, and there's so much that we covered in this period of time. And for the sake of time, I know that we need to have a 2.0 or a 3.0 and dissect different parts of business and everything you bring to the table. But I always like to leave the audience wanting more, and I know that they want a lot more. So I would encourage everybody to follow Chantel, subscribe to everything that she's putting out there, follow her across all social media platforms, but really reach out. If something stuck out to you that you heard or you saw today from Chantel, don't be afraid to reach out. And Chantel, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here. I know you're extremely busy, so be kind to Chantel's DMs if you're going to jump in there and ask for advice or how to align. But what I would say is it never hurts to try, it never hurts to ask. Chantel is super giving of that knowledge and info for sure.
And I want to say one last thing.
Yes,
You know,
please.
the most important thing for any business is marketing and sales. And what I see agents doing all the time is they continue to work on other things like sometimes systems or processes or training. They just feel like they need more training. Let me get more training. Let me get more training. And I just want everyone to go, okay, today, what am I doing for marketing and sales? Instead of, getting into the weeds of all this other stuff and just taking that of reminding myself every day, my most important job is for my business is marketing and sales. Everything else has to go on the back burner. And if you're finding yourself getting into the minutia, marketing over everything.
I love.
Modes, welcome to Modes.
Oh, welcome to Mo's, Chantel. You're amazing. I can't thank you enough for taking the time today and just providing so much incredible information and knowledge. I really mean it. This was a pleasure for sure.
All right. Well, it's so nice spending time with you. I loved every minute. So keep doing great things.
Thanks, Chantel. And everybody, thank you as always for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like and subscribe. You all know what to do at this point, but I have to say it anyway. We do have a sponsor, Lion Bolt Media. I want to give a quick shout out. If you are a real estate professional looking to grow and scale your business with leading edge digital marketing, visit lionboltmedia.com for more information. We're live here on Titans every Tuesday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. Catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Chantel.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.